Hello, it's Jeannie. How are you? I do hope you are well. Today's video is sponsored again by a company I just love. And I have been asked by so many of you about that rose collection I got back in August from Rose Forever, New York. And I want to show you something. Look at this. These roses look as good today as they did when I got them back in August, and we're in January right now. So August, September, October, November, December, January. This was 5 months ago. And I've had this out on our coffee table, our dining room table, or our piano. And the only time I put it away was Christmas because the pink kind of clashed with our red and green theme. Anyway, since then I have gotten another bouquet, and I want to show you this. Look at this. Oh my gosh. Look how beautiful. Isn't that gorgeous? So this is the black and white, and that was pink suede and white roses. And I'm just so in love with these. I just can't believe how beautiful they are. They look almost as perfect as the day they came. And people will come over and say, "Oh, your husband got you flowers." And it's like they've been there, and I've gotten so many compliments on them. Now, I love fresh flowers, but they die after 3 days, 4 days, maybe 5 or 6 if you're lucky. And it doesn't matter where they come from. These have endured the test of time, and they say at least a year. Well, it's been almost 6 months, and I'm just as pleased with them as I was on the day I got them. So a few things about the company is they were founded in New York in 2019, and the rose boxes with natural roses last for at least a year. They use natural oils to preserve the roses, and the bouquets are handcrafted by professional flower artisans. And all the materials used are vegan, even the pink suede and the black velvet. The preserved roses in special colors such as violet or black or royal blue are created through a natural process of pigmentation that keeps the rich, intense shade and are allergen-free. Just so beautiful. The choices are enormous for rose colors and the box shapes and the materials. So you just need to find your own perfect combination and use the link and the promo code that I provide in the description, and go ahead and check them out. You can see the one I got in August looks just as good as the one I got just a few days ago. So, Rose Forever, New York, thank you, thank you, thank you. These are so beautiful. So, I love flowers, and I was so excited a couple mornings ago to look out my kitchen window on the sill. My orchid, can you see this? Is blooming I'm so excited. This is so beautiful. And I've got lots of buds. So I'm really excited for that. I still have a runny nose, but I'm doing better. One of the things that I want to talk to you about today came from two things. One, reading a magazine that I love, and I'll show it to you in a minute. And second, listening to my higher self in my most inspirational place. And actually, it's one of two inspirational places. The first is the shower. I don't know what that is, but when I'm in the shower, I get so many great ideas. And maybe it's the water, maybe it's the hydrotherapy, but so many things in my life have come to me when I've been in the shower. So we'll talk more about that. And the second place is in bed. Sometimes late at night when I'm lying there and I can't sleep, but I'm not listening to anything else to try to get to sleep, some ASMR or something. When I'm just laying there with my thoughts and just kind of letting them go, and sometimes following a thread of thought. And, there are lots of threads. It looks like a sheep on crack, with all the different wool pieces going around crazy. It's my inspirational times, and I know based on my time doing this to listen, to follow that. And so I want to talk to you about following your inspirational messages, your muse, your angels, your whatever you believe is talking to you or inspiring you, to follow that. And so let's talk more about that. I was looking through the latest edition of Magnolia, and I've read from this magazine before, a few issues back, and I'm just flipping through, and I really love the mindfulness of this magazine and the mindfulness that they approach their articles with. You don't feel overwhelmed to try to be perfect. And I'm not going to use Martha Stewart as an example, because Martha Stewart is Martha Stewart, and she's doing what is natural for her. I used to try to be Martha Stewart, and I created a lot more stress for myself. So now I just do Jeannie B, and whatever that looks like. But anyway, one of the articles was called Flashes of Light. And I'm going to read a couple little things to you from that. Okay, glasses, where are you? Here you are. Okay, so this is what the article looks like. Flashes of light. Sometimes we catch it out of the corner of our eye, a flash of light, a glow in the distance, a spark we feel compelled to follow. It stirs something deep in us, so we turn ourselves toward it. We want to see where it's coming from, where it might lead, and what promise it holds. We started this year by following a few flashes of light, 4 magazine themes that felt like a promise of something more. We held ourselves open to those themes to see where they would lead, like a constellation of new perspectives to wonder about and consider. Now we're pulling those themes back together to look at where we've been and what we're carrying forward. And so I started thinking about that. You know, when you see or feel a spark, how do you follow that? Is it, it's one thing to lay there at night or stand there in the shower and think, oh, I have this great idea. But how do you take it further? Now, that is what I want to talk to you about, is not only discovering, listening for those messages, those sparks of inspiration, the voices, not the voices, but the voice of inspiration. And turning toward it, leaning into it, going with it. And so I've made a couple of notes here on ways that I think can help you lean into that spark. When someone sits down to write a book, an author, they do not sit down with it completely done like Mozart, when he developed his music in his head. He played it out in his imagination, and then when he put his pen to paper, that was it. He didn't redo it. It was one and done. A genius, of course. But when an author sits down, they have a general idea, a theme, a sense of the plot. But they don't know all the details. And I think that is what puts people off following their dreams, following their sparks, is they don't know the how. They think they have to know the how. And you don't. So think about listening to what you want to do, that dream inside of you. And I've heard from many of you who have said, I've wanted to start a YouTube channel. I've been afraid to. It's something I've wanted to do for years, like 5 years ago. And I say to them, jump in, do it. The water's warm, do it. Everybody will have different growth rates. It would be great to be an overnight wonder, but I don't know who is or how that happens. I think it's more rare than anything. But, with consistency, you can make this work. So if you've been thinking about doing a YouTube channel, do it. Do it. You will find your voice. You will find your role. And it may morph. Somebody once said, if you don't like something, you're not a tree. Move. Do something different. So for those wanting to start a YouTube channel, just do it. You may find your voice changes over the period of several months, or your topics or your themes. But quitting guarantees one thing: failure. Doing it and doing it and doing it guarantees that you will be creating something of value. Whether 10 people see it today or tomorrow or over the course of a year, it helps build your portfolio in a sense. So I encourage those who want to start a YouTube channel or who have just started a YouTube channel, Do it. Keep doing it. Don't quit. Don't quit. And you know who you are. I'm talking to you. Now, in something else in terms of fostering a spark, I'm going to give you a couple of ideas that just hit me in the shower. Maybe that's TMI. Way too much information. Sorry. Sorry for that visual. Something I've done a lot of over the years is a dream board. They've been sporadic. They are not perfect. They are not something that I would send off to anybody for, an A+ gold star on, but they work for me. If I see a picture in a magazine, I might rip it out and either put it in a file that never even makes it onto a dream board, but I've done some action to get it out of that magazine and own it, claim it. Now, I may edit that and take it out, throw it away a year later. But dream boards, vision boards, whatever you want to call them, I like vision boards, I think, kind of have a magical way of coming true. They can. I know mine have. And it isn't that I have anything different than you. But what they do is they help focus your brain, your mind, your attention, your spirit onto things that you want to be real in your world. And I truly believe we get what we ask for, what we put our attention to, for the positive or for the negative. When we focus and put energy on something, it's what we're inviting back in. It's the neural pathways that we lay down in our brain, and it takes practice to do something different, but it works. I don't think there is any perfect vision board. You can look them up online and, see this is how you should do it, or do whatever works for you. If it's just a file that you rip things out of magazines or articles or thoughts, photos, whatever it is, and you put into a file, a manila envelope, whatever, a drawer, whatever works for you is fine. Don't try to fit into somebody's Pinterest perfect thing, okay? Write it down. Writing something down, I think, brings a lot of power to the potential of manifestation. Now, I always kind of carry this around the house because my little journal. I love this thing. And I do a lot of blah, blah, blah in writing. And it is pretty amazing at the things I manifested just from writing it down. So I really encourage you to write it down. Type it down. My phone has a notes app. I have an iPhone. And if I have a spark of inspiration, I open up my notes and write it down. Because it's easy to forget thoughts, right? It's easy for me. So write it down. I write it down if I'm on an airplane, if I'm a passenger, we're driving. I can even do hey, S-I-R-I, because if I say it out loud, she'll do it. Put this into my notes, or, add this, blah, 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 to my notes. So keep a running list of thoughts and dreams and desires and wishes. And then review them. It will be amazing at how many really do come true. I love being able to scratch something off because it happened. Now, that being said, I have some that aren't huge, that are just going to be, I know that will be easier to check off. And so it might be like planting my garden, get my garden planned or have it planned and, organized as to what I'm going to plant for the season. It's a dream, yes, but it is something that I will be able to cross off. And I think our brains like that, succeeding. They like the fact that you were able to complete it. So put things on there that you can complete. What I would emphasize in writing things down is asking yourself a couple of questions. What motivates you? Focus on your feelings. How do you want to feel? How would having this thing on your vision board come true make you feel? And imagine that. Revel in that feeling. So, focusing on a feeling of success, what that would feel like to take that trip to Europe. Create that in your imagination. It's role play. Create that in your imagination and revel in it. Feel it as if. Think as if it's already done. And I've talked about this a couple of times. What it feels like, I start this in the morning. What my day is going to feel like at the end, having had all these things happen and, successfully manifested. And it happens not perfectly, not 100%, but a lot. So focus on the feelings, not the how. Don't worry about details. When you are following a spark, more sparks happen. And when you turn towards them and follow them, you kind of start taking steps unknown previously toward that. This YouTube channel was a spark. My grandson, initiated the conversation, Baba Nini, you should do this. And I kind of discounted it. But I let that spark settle in to me. And I just kind of followed it. And I feel like because of that, it's happening, And that to me is proof of manifestation, right? So here are some topics that I think you could put onto a vision board, a dream board, a notebook. They could all be in one or separate categories. Some of you are more organized and detailed. So if you want one vision board, one notebook, one for all of these, that's fine. Or if you want separate categories, that's fine too. Here are just a few categories that you should just think about, dream about in your creative place. That the place where you have discovered you feel the most inspiration. Go to that place and start pondering these topics. What do you want for, say, your career? Your job. What's next for you in that? Money. What are some financial goals you have? And I say do these with the most positive slant. In other words, don't focus on the negative aspect, say, of money or debt. Debt has its own stress. So instead of coming at it with a negative aspect, come at it in a positive aspect. I want to be debt-free in these areas. And so money, love, relationships. I hear from you guys, about broken relationships and breakups. And trust me, I've been there. I've helped my kids through it as much as one mom can help a kid. It's tough, and especially the older they get, But breakups are hard. And if you're in a position of finding yourself in one, time is the best healer. But focusing on what's next. What do you want? Now, with this, in regard to love, I would not focus on too many specifics. For instance, I want a guy who looks just like George Clooney. He works in this industry. He's got, let's say, blue eyes. He does this and that, and he drives a this and a that. I would focus on the feeling, the result of that relationship that you're looking for, not the who. Not the details of the who. That will figure itself out. Draw to yourself the feelings of the relationship that you want. The support, the love, the listener, the person you can lean into, your soft place to fall. All those things. What it feels like to, take a walk with someone like that. You don't have to have the picture of them, because ultimately that right person, that right partner may look nothing like what you think it should look like in your head. My husband looks nothing like David Cassidy or George Clooney or Kevin Costner. Well, he does look a little like Kevin Costner. I take that back. So, love, health. What are some health goals for you? And I don't like the, I want to lose 25 ugly pounds or whatever that is. I want to be healthier. I want to be able to walk further. I want to be able to go on a hike. I want to be able to have great blood pressure numbers. I want to, be able to roll on the floor and play with my grandkids and get up without needing help. So think about some of your health goals and desires in positive terms as well. Now, health with regard to health. Let's talk about your emotional health. What are some goals that you have? Ideals and dreams for your emotional health. And I know many of you have brokenness in your history. There's a cat trying to get in. They can't. So, what would that look like? What would that look like? Write it down or put a picture of that, of what that would feel like to not have that baggage in your life. Now, some may say that's impossible, it will always be there. Well, that's a statement that the more you make, the more you own. So, even though it may not seem true, write it down, make a picture, whatever that is, of what it would be like if it was true. What would you feel like without parts of that baggage, pieces of that luggage, not going with you into the future? Does that make sense? Okay, some fun things. Travel. Is travel on your desire list? Where do you want to go? Pick 3 or 5 or 10 places. You may hit some of them, you may not. It's okay. Put it out there. And it may be somewhere in the next town. Like I said, put things down that you know will be easier to check off, scratch off. Because like I said, also too, I think our brains it feels good to check something off, cross it off the list. So put something on there that you know you can do. If you're in Florida and taking a drive to, I don't know, Boston, New York, Texas, whatever, is something you've wanted to do, put it on your list and make that happen. Somehow. You don't know the hows, and that's okay. You don't have to. Trust me on that. Social. What are some of the social things you would like to have manifested in your life? Is being more social even on your list? For me, I joined some organizations. I was on a board for a very large organization, and that provided a lot of social interactions, and I had to actually step back after 7 years because I needed to change my focus a bit, and that's okay. Nothing is set in stone for the rest of your life. Do you want more friends? Is being in a cooking group something that would make you happy? Think about that and explore that. There may be lots of topics within that suddenly open you up to new ideas. Do you want a knitting group? Magic happens. And I've mentioned this before. This is a social thing in a sense. YouTube, even though it's me sitting here looking at a camera, I really do see you. And I connect to you, and I try my best to talk with you and communicate with you. I've seen people connect from my friend, the followers list, subscribers list, who are developing relationships. And like I said, that just makes me so happy. So there is a social connection there. I've watched 2 girls in particular meet up, connect. They're an ocean apart, but connect. And it just makes me so happy. So that is actually one of my social goals in terms of this community, having you all kind of find others. It's like this, all these little networks, and watching this happen is just magical. So that's one of my things that is coming true. So anyway, something else that I think we need to feed in order to have our dreams and desires and wishes and thoughts and, aspirations come true is focusing on gratitude. Yes, gratitude. If that means a gratitude journal, or if you have a planner, and I have the old-fashioned paper planner, desk calendar, desk journal thing. I write down things that I'm grateful for in the day. Just a quick, the weather was great, or met so-and-so, or whatever that is. The more you lay down a track of gratitude, the more I believe and know that life gives you more of. Remember, what you put out, you attract back. 100%. When you focus on things, even if you've had a foul, rotten, hard day, and you feel like you've regressed in certain areas, there are still things to be grateful for. Train your brain to look for those things. It's hard. It's hard sometimes, I know, in the depths of despair or darkness or pain or sadness. There are still things to be grateful for. Find them. I am tasking you with finding those things to be grateful for. No matter how small or simple or seemingly unimportant, okay? So, I've given you homework there. So, a gratitude journal. I would like to hear from you. Here's the feedback I want. Is, where is your inspirational zone? I told you mine, the shower and bed, late at night as I'm thinking. And that's always been the case for me. I've always been my mind going at night. Where or what is your place of inspiration? I'd love to hear that. Let me know. I truly believe that the things I have in my life, the people I have in my life, are things I've attracted, I've manifested, I've created. I own it all. And some of it hasn't always been pleasant. There are tough things as well. But in those tough things, and during those tough times, I have looked to the future of being able to see the positive in that. Even losing a son in an accident, I remember specifically saying, there will be good that comes from this. In the hardest, darkest time of my life, it's a hard thing to do, but I believed it with all my heart and soul. There will be good from this. There will be good people that come to me from this. And so it's a hard thing to believe. But in the loss of a child, in the loss of my brothers, I've been able to help others who have been through loss. I know things. I can go to places, remembering those places, and understand what somebody is going through, what loss is like. And it's hard. But what kept me going was knowing that there is good that will come from this. Somehow, some way. I don't have to know what that is. I don't have to know. Just trusting that there is good behind this event that is hard. I promise you, good can come. Good things can happen. And focus on those, even in your most difficult times, even in your darkest days. Okay? I know it's hard. I do know. So, I think allowing for change, when you're following a spark, a tiny little spark, allowing for change. Change is hard. There are upheavals, in moving, in new jobs, in new loves, in new situations. It can be challenging, but allow for it. You can do it. You can get through it. You can get through anything. You can. And there are people around you or people still to meet that can help you. They're out there, seen and unseen. So don't be afraid of upheaval, or what's that saying? Feel the fear and do it anyway. As you know, some of you know, I used to skydive. And the very first time you skydive, if you're going to do it again, where I went, you had to do a tandem jump with somebody. You're strapped onto somebody, and you're in the front, and they're in the back, and they've got the parachute. You're just held on by harnesses. Sounds good on the ground. And then you get up there. Now, my first jump was out of a DC-3 at 13,000 feet. So it was a nice plane, gutted on the inside. And so they're going out, you go through a little class, a little orientation. And so we go up to the door. We're standing there. And every cell in my body was saying, don't do it. Do not do this. Are you crazy? But I felt the fear and did it anyway. And there we went. And I think I've got a photo of it. I went with a friend, and he took a picture of me. He used to put a camera on his helmet and do lots of, he was an expert skydiver. And just a little story more on the skydiving. Oh, it was great. I was in heaven. I immediately got addicted to that adrenaline. It was fantastic. So then I started doing more skydiving, and I was able to start soloing. And I remember my first solo was not out of the DC-3. It was out of some little small plane, and it was completely different. So you're sitting there, and you edge yourself to the door. Then you have to get out, and there's the struts of the plane. So you kind of stand on the tire, and you work your way onto the strut, and you get into the right position. And then the pilot releases the tires, or I can't remember, it's been so many years. And then, you go. And you're on a static line, so you immediately, your parachute comes up. Well, the first time I did this, number one, I've got tiny hands. Number two, they're very dry. And when I'm nervous, they're even drier. They're just like paper. And I couldn't get a grip around the strut. So it was so frustrating. And so I'm trying to get a good grip so I can let my feet go. And the thing is, and when you're out of the airplane, you can't get back in. You're going. And so the pilot thought I was hesitating and not going to do it. And so he released the tire that I was kind of still standing on prematurely. And I kind of went falling out, into the sky. And I hit my elbow on the tire or something. Anyway, it was fine. But it was like, damn, I wasn't ready. I guess I was, but there I was. And the training, little training you do kicks in. You grab your handles, you check your brakes, your chute, that it's fully deployed. And then you just do what you have to do. There's the drop zone. And, I was smaller than I am now in terms of weight. And so if you catch a breeze and you're not, you're kind of little, you have to kind of fight to come back. And so you kind of figure out where you need to be in each thermal to kind of get to the drop zone, And there was a girl in the same class, and she was a pretty cocky girl and, real cute, and she just was a know-it-all. Well, what happened to her? She jumped She jumped after I did. And she panicked and did nothing. She went out and all she did was she let the wind take her. And they had to go rescue her in some vineyard miles away. She just froze. So, anyway, that's my feel the fear, but do it anyway. You know, skydiving, I did it for, I don't know, one summer. And I'm done. I'm done. With a husband as a pilot who says, why would you jump out of a perfectly good airplane? My answer, used to be because I had a perfectly good parachute. But anyway, that wasn't always the case, and some of the accidents started to get to me, not mine, but people, at the jump zone. So it's like, okay, did it, done, move on, take up knitting. So that is my blah, blah, blah. And if there's something in there, again, as usual, that you can find that helps inspire you, I'm happy. I'm happy for that. If there's some way that this has inspired you to find sparks and turn toward them, follow them, I'm so thrilled. I'd love to hear your stories on that. And if it's just my voice going blah, 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 enough for you to fall asleep to, that makes me happy as well. So, I love hearing, Jeannie, I love your topics, but I only get through 12 minutes. I'm knocked out. That's good. I bore you to sleep. That's my goal. And if there's a little inspiration along the way, yay. So, thank you for being the most amazing community. You just keep showing up in so many ways. Your love, your support, your light. And I'm so excited that dear Genevieve from Gentle Genevieve ASMR, she made a comment to me this morning that how blown away she is and how good it feels to be sharing in this love, the love that people send you, the love and light, and just in a comment, you have no idea how awesome that is and how we carry that with us. So I thank you for that. My stomach is growling like out of control. I'm starving. So I'm going to go eat. And I wish you, I wish you so much peace. I wish you so much progress in the things that you desire. And I know you can have and create and manifest so much. And I want to hear those things. I really do. So, and we're never done. We never arrive. There's always more. As while we're breathing, there's always more. So, I send you my very best. I bid you so much peace. And I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.